folks, welcome back to the channel. Got my coffee. There it is, got my coffee ready to go. Today's song is a song from one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite musicals. The artist is Carole King. The musical is Beautiful, which is a show that I'm hoping that I get the chance to play in 2024. I have the opportunity, hopefully. But the song, I'm going to attempt to hack my way through So Far Away, the song So Far Away. And I apologize again, the voice is shot as always. Allergies are through the roof, but we're going to give it a shot here and see how it goes. It may be great, it may not be. Actually, it probably won't be great, but it'll be okay. You're so far away. Doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore? It would be so fine to see your face at my door. It doesn't help to know you're just time away. Long ago I reached for you and there you stood. Holding you again could only do me good. How I wish I could, but you're so far away. One more song about moving along the highway. Can't say much of anything that's new. If I could only walk this life up my way, I'd rather spend it being close to you. You're so far away. Doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore? It would be so fine to see your face at my door. Doesn't help to know you're so far away. Yeah, so far away. Driving around sure gets me down and lonely. Nothing else to do but close my mind. I sure hope the road don't come to own me. There's so many dreams that I've yet to find. You're so far away. Doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore? It would be so fine to see your face at my door. Doesn't help to know you're so far away. Yeah, you're so far away. You're so far away. Yeah, you're so far away. You're so far away. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Voice is pretty gone. But again, song by Carole King, song from the musical Beautiful, absolutely one of my favorite musicals, and hope you enjoyed that. Now on to the video. Hey guys, I'd like to interrupt this video real quick to just tell you about a product that I truly believe in, I use. For any of my singing friends, for any of my friends that do speaking engagements, they teach, whatever, use your voice a lot. I live in Central Texas. My allergies, especially the last 10 years or so, have been just awful. And I literally get no relief whatsoever, 24/7, 7 days a week. I've tried drops, I've tried shots, I've had all the tests. In fact, I'm restarting tests again just to see if there's anything I can do, because I do teach some, I of course sing, and it's really affecting me as a performer. because a lot of the gigs that I get are because I also sing besides play. So I want to tell you about a product that actually does help, and it's helped me quite a lot. It's a product called Vocal Ease. I don't know if you guys can see that or not really well. But VOCAL EZE. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put a link to where if you guys want to try it, you get 15% off on your first order if you use the link that I post. It's all natural. They make sprays, they make lozenges, all sorts of different flavors. They even have cayenne flavors, which I tried once and that was, yeah, I couldn't do that. But it's really great stuff. I actually, when there's a few acts that I sing with where I have to sing really high tenor parts, I'll actually keep the spray on my amplifier so I can turn around in between songs and do a shot in my throat. It's just something about the way they coat, the way they help break up the mucus, etc. But I swear by them. I've turned a lot of friends onto them and a lot of performers that I work with. Again, it's Vocal Ease, VOCALEZE. I'll put links in the description so that you can try them if you want. I highly recommend. Anyway, thanks very much for letting me put that in there real quick. And now back to the video. So in today's video, sorry about that. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what it's like to work in the pit in musicals. Full disclosure, I did musical theater in high school, some in what college I did. I didn't go to college very much, but I got very lucky and started in theater pretty young. Well, let me backtrack. So I was a full-time musician making my living from music up until about the age of 40, and had gotten married and had we have family and the whole bit. And so at that time, I ended up getting a job with the state, and I'm very thankful I did. Music is extremely difficult to make a living at, and to try to support a family and have nice home, decent cars, etc. It's extremely difficult. But I've always played, and I've always played a lot, and it's been a big part of my income. And now that I'm retired, I'm back, of course, playing full time, and thankfully, I'm actually playing as much, if not more, than I ever have. In fact, if things go as well as I hope, I've already got next year almost completely booked. It's wonderful. I'm so blessed. Knock on wood. I'm absolutely so blessed. So that's full disclosure. Now, let's talk about pit work, and let's talk about making a living as a musician. So, and here's the reason I'm thinking about this. I'm currently playing in a musical at a local college, and the theater department, when they do musicals, in my thought process is they would use student musicians. I mean, you know, especially at college level, I would think that, but they don't. And I don't know this firsthand, but this is what I've been told from different people, is that the theater department and the music department don't work together, which to me is kind of strange. And evidently, and again, I have no firsthand knowledge of this, but this is what I've been told, is that evidently the music department doesn't consider pit work and theater work as I don't want to say viable options, but it doesn't consider it as anything that they would give academic credit for, and they actually frown upon it, from what I understand, which is so sad. If you're going to make a living at music, now I'm not talking about the people who who either want to be just original artists and this is all I'm doing is my stuff, etc. Or if you're you know, a hard, hard blues fan or country fan or whatever, and this is all I'm going to do, this is all I want to do, this is all I enjoy. But if you want to actually make a living at music, you have to keep all options open. You have to be pretty much willing to play the rock and roll gig on Tuesday, the country gig on Wednesday, the go into the recording studio and record the jingles on Thursday, if they still do that, and do the session on Friday, and then maybe play with the country band on Saturday and the wedding band on Sunday that does all Justin Timberlake and Lizzie and and Lizzo and whatever, Lizzo, whatever. And a big part of it, and can be a very not only rewarding part of it, but a big part of it financially also can be doing theater. I have been very, very lucky that I did some theater before, and I had actually over the years before I started doing theater heavily, I had worked a lot on my reading. And so I read, standard chord charts just to pick up gigs. I read Nashville chord charts, which is basically just numbering system. But I read notation pretty well also. Not amazing, but I read pretty well. So that has been huge because, again, to do theater, you have to be able to read. I mean, you just have to be able to read. And that's been a huge part of my musical experience is doing theater and doing pit work. And I'm so blessed because I got involved with the local professional theater here. We had a party band that played at a local club here back in the 80s. And we were very successful. And we got hooked up with this gentleman and a cabaret show that he was doing. And he had singers and we were the band. So we put the whole thing together and we did this big 50s and 60s review show with his performers, and he was the director. And then later on, he became artistic director of this professional theater here in town, which is Zach Theater. His name is Dave Stakely, and I'm forever grateful to him, and also the music director at Zach, which is Alan Robertson. Just absolutely two of the most wonderful people and brilliant, and they've taught me so much about theater. But so when Dave got the artistic job at the artistic director job at Zach and started doing musicals, we were the musicians he knew, so he called us, and that started what's been something like 35-year run of doing theater work for me on and off. Some years I do 8 shows, some years I do 2, 1. Some years I don't do any, depending on what's going on. But and then that expanded into where I worked at the Palace Theater in Georgetown, which is much more of a community style theater. I worked there for 15 years. I still do an occasional show there, and have done shows at other theaters around town and get picked up for other gigs like that. And it's a blast. You never know the type of show you're going to be playing. It could be kind of a legit theatrical production, maybe an upright gig. It could be a heavy swing gig. Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, which is all upright bass and swing. It could be Tommy, which is rock and roll, Spam-A-Lot, Rocky Horror. I mean, I've been so lucky. And so what got me thinking about this again is just the fact that of this, college and the music department and not, it appears, not recognizing theater. And the thing is theater can be an amazing experience depending on where you're doing it. But if you have a good music director and a director and they're set up, the theater itself is set up pretty well, the amount of different styles that you learn, you can do a show like In the Heights, which is very Cuban, very Latin, just heavy Latin feel, and so I worked harder on that show than I probably ever worked on a show. I love that show, In the Heights, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And then you can do, like I said, Rocky Horror, which is rock and roll. You can do a show like Carole King, which is all the songs from the 60s, basically, 50s and 60s. And you meet wonderful people. You absorb from everyone in the bands. I mean, I'm very lucky, especially at Zach Theater. Well, actually, at all the theaters I've worked at, really, all the musicians are just wonderful. Most of them are professionals, and so you're always picking up somebody from someone, something from someone. You're always learning something about what's going on in the process and how to listen better. Doing theater, you learn how to follow a conductor and follow cues. I've conducted, God, I couldn't even tell you how many shows I've actually conducted while I'm playing bass. And you learn to listen for cue lines, and you learn to listen to follow singers. A lot of singers want to do bigger rubato sections here, and you pick up tempos, and the tempos shift. And in theater, the tempos can shift on a dime. I mean, just you're going da 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 da, and it can shift that fast, and it's not easy. One of my very good friends here in town that does a lot of work. We do a lot of work together, both in bands and in theater work. He's an amazing guitar player and a wonderful bass player too. But he subbed a show for me one time, and it was covering 6-string banjo, regular guitar, and bass. I think that was it. And he texted me afterwards, and I don't think he'd ever done a musical before. And he said, I have a whole newfound respect for what you guys do in the pit. And this is a extremely talented musician. And it actually made me feel good, because this is somebody that I highly respect telling me that they have a newfound respect for what I do. And it's not easy to follow your part. You're reading a part. There's a lot of shows where I play multiple instruments. I've had shows where I've played acoustic guitar, electric bass, acoustic lap bass, and third keyboards, depending on what song we're doing and where we are in the show. And I'm trying to follow the conductor and listen for cue lines. It's not easy, but it's been extremely good for me for when I back up artists in just regular dance band gigs, singers who I'm constantly listening. Is the singer slowing down? Are they going faster? And trying to follow what they're doing, or I'm listening tighter to the drummer to make sure that I'm staying where they are. And maybe if it's my first time playing with a band, maybe they do different inflections in a song that I'm not used to, even though it's a song I've played 100 times. And so it's been really good for my ears, and my ability to watch and to follow. And I highly recommend doing it if you get the chance. And again, it's just another viable option of making a living. And it's fun, you don't have to do the damn Yankees shows or whatever if you don't want to, the old 40s, 50s style shows, though some of them are actually still very fun. There are definitely, I've played close to 150 musicals over the years. There's definitely shows that I won't ever play again because I just don't enjoy them. There's just nothing fun about them. And I can tell you one right off the top of my head is Miracle on 34th Street is one of the worst written musicals I have ever played. It's just god awful. There's probably people who love it, not me, and I won't ever play it again. But then there's musicals that I can't wait. I may have, I don't know for sure yet, but I may have the option to play The Prom this next year, and also the musical Beautiful, and I certainly can't wait. In January, I'm playing a full upright bass show where I actually have to slap the upright, and that's $1 Million Quartet. Again, one of my favorite shows. I'm music director for it, and I'm also playing it, but I've also directed that show before, and I love that show. it's all 50s music, and it's Carl Perkins, and it's Elvis, and Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis, and it's just a blast. It's just a let go blast. And again, if you're playing for a living, don't limit yourself. You know, I get the people who say, I don't need to learn how to read. I don't need to read. Well, okay. So you have now put yourself into this little tiny cube, and these are the types of gigs you're going to get. You're going to get 3-chord blues gigs, or if you're extremely talented and know your stuff, you know, let's say you're a wonderful country player, then you're going to get a lot of country calls because you probably know the songs. But if you're going to try to freelance, where I'll get calls, literally, my calls for gigs can range from theater to, I play with several different country artists. I play with several different party style bands that do everything from 50s and 60s and 70s to, again, the Justin Timberlake, Britney stuff, all that type of poppy stuff. And I'll get calls for straight ahead swing gigs because I read chord charts. You know, we have a program called iReel, which is basically, it's a reel book, which is just thousands of different jazz tunes. I've gotten calls to sub with colleges before in their big bands because their bass player is sick and I play swing, you know. And so if you really want to make a living, try not to limit yourself, you know. Now that's not to say that there aren't, you know, amazing party bands who play 3 nights a week all the time and that's all they do is that style. Yeah, absolutely there are, you know. But to me, it's kind of like, I play a lot with some of the old 60s artists, as a bunch of you know. And I can only imagine that after singing your big hit or your big 5 hits 3 nights a week for 40 years, how boring that can get. Even if it's your favorite song, and yeah, you know, it's amazing that you had this monster hit with this thing. I'm sure there comes a time when you're going, oh my God, do I have to sing that again? You know, with me, from phone call to phone call for gigs, I never know what style I'm going to be playing or what I'm going to be playing. And I purposely will sometimes take gigs with people that I don't know or styles that I'm not really familiar with, just to make myself do them and make myself learn that. And like, I just had a wedding that I played with a couple guys, and they were doing a bunch of songs that I've never played. And you know, at one point he said, hey, you know, if there's a bunch of stuff here that you're really unfamiliar with, you know, we can try to curb it more towards stuff you know. And I said, no. I said, I want to learn these songs. I want to, even if I just write them out and read them, but I want to have these in my back pocket also, so when somebody says, hey, can you play I can't think of some of the bands, but it's, you know, again, some of the bands, like a song called The Middle and some stuff like that. You know, can you play these? I can go, oh, yeah, I've actually played that once or twice, and I have a decent chart on it, and I kind of remember it. Yeah, let's do it, you know. And so, again, it just builds up the fact of that, you know, before you know it, you've got this reservoir of songs that you've either played or you've heard or something, and you know, you've 500,000 songs or whatever, and it's like, yeah, I can come out and sub for you tonight and make that $300 because, yeah, I've heard those songs or whatever. And then now my other thing I have too is that I play guitar, so I can follow if the guitar player is good and they're playing most first position, second position style chords, I can watch their hands and I can tell where they're going and what they're playing. I've also got really good ears, and I've worked really hard on that over the years. And so I can kind of hear chord changes coming. Or I can, as I'm singing the melody of the song in my head, I can tell that they're going here or they're going to, you know, 1, 6, 2, 5, whatever type of thing. But I'm getting way off track here. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is don't limit yourself. Keep yourself open to a lot of different stuff. Take a theater gig. If you get offered it, or introduce yourself to the local music directors wherever you are. hunt down and find out who the music directors usually are at the theaters, or if there's a artistic director. Let's say it's a theater that likes to hire a lot of different music directors, whatever, doesn't have the same person most of the time. Then find out who the artistic director is, and introduce yourself. Send them a resume. Say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm here. I play these instruments. I read, and I would love to be considered to be a part of one of your bands sometimes. And again, it just opens more doors for you. Then you also get out and meet different musicians. I have a whole different, not whole, but I have a different bunch of players that I sometimes work with that do theater as opposed to doing the band gigs and stuff. Now, there's a lot of interaction here in Austin where I am, because there's a lot of amazing musicians, and a lot of the guys, especially the guys in my circles, most everybody reads and most everybody freelances, so they do all sorts of different gigs. But again, you never know where it's going to lead. I have friends that play all the Broadway tours when they come through town. They only, a lot of the Broadway shows only travel with the touring companies only travel with small core bands, and then they hire fill-in players, a lot of times horns and things like that, sometimes bass players. And I have a lot of friends that do those when they come through, because they're great players and they read and they're in that circle. I have friends that have gotten to play with Aretha Franklin and all sorts of different artists that come through town, again, because they're in those circles. People know them, and they've gotten out and met the other people that do those gigs, and so they get those calls because, again, they read really well, and they're good hangs, and they're in those circles, and they haven't closed themselves off to not being available for that type of stuff. And so it really is, if you're going to make a living, you have to keep yourself open to a lot of stuff. If you're going to be just an original artist or something like that, it's hard. It's really hard, unless you've got lucky and you've got great management and they're really into what you're doing, and especially nowadays, because there really aren't record contracts like there used to be, and everything's online and streaming and all of that. But so anyway, keep your minds open to different styles. Keep your minds open to pit work and working in the pit. There are some shows that I have come home from working musicals, and I have never had as what do I want to say? I've been on just an amazing high. Some of the shows, when we played In the Heights, I loved that show so much. And there were days when I came out of there feeling just at the top of the world, because we had done such a good job as a unit, as a production, as a band. And to back up some of those singers, and the singers, just like in the musical I'm doing right now, I'm doing Ride the Cyclone. And the singers are students, amazing vocals, just wonderfully beautiful vocals, and it's just so much fun to back up artists like that, and back up. They're younger, they haven't got a lot of egos yet, and they're just nice kids, and they absolutely are just happy to be performing. And they're just wonderful performers, and it feels so good to back up, people like that. So anyway, keep yourselves open, keep your minds open, listen to tons of stuff you don't listen to, and get out and experience doing some pit work. It really is fun. It's very rewarding, and it's really, really good for you. It really is. It's just a whole different experience. It can be extremely frustrating too. I've been on shows where during the rehearsal process, people have quit because they just couldn't take the pressure, and most times it was because they didn't do their homework, and that's the big thing. But if you do your homework and ask for help, I don't read real complicated rhythms well, and so I have a very dear friend who's a pianist who's been doing theater as long as I have, and his major in school was performance, I guess, in music, and he's a wonderful pianist, and he reads rhythms really well. And there are times I'll send him a chart or send him a cutout and just say, hey man, would you sit at the piano and play this for me so I can hear the rhythm? And he's always, if he has the time, he's always willing to help, and that helps immensely. That helps me so much, because then now when I see those rhythms from now on, or bits of those rhythms, I can go, oh, wait a minute, I remember how that goes. It goes like this. And then it starts to make sense to me in my brain of, yeah, it goes like this because it's written this way, type of things. So, and I'm so blessed to be at my point in my career and my age. I'm so blessed to be still getting calls, and a lot of calls, and I'm so thankful to all the folks who hire me still. Thank you. I just can't thank you enough. I'm in my mid-60s, and I probably enjoy playing more now than I ever have. And I get to play with such wonderful artists and do theater work again with such wonderful artists and so many of my very dear friends. And especially over the last couple of years, where so many of us are starting to lose friends and acquaintances, and it just makes me feel so good to still be working and getting to work with all my friends and family, even my brother, and it's just it's all good. It's just all good. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. Again, don't just live life. Get up off the couch, experience life. Get out and do stuff. Take a cruise. Go for a drive on a beautiful day. Do something, but do something that makes you happy every day. Get up with a smile on your face. Be glad you woke up. It can always be worse. It's been worse. I remember the days of scraping pennies together to put gas in my motorcycle so I could go to school and stuff, and eating cans of green beans because it was the cheapest thing I could find. But thank God I'm still mostly healthy, and get up, experience life, folks. Thank you very much for watching my videos, those of you that do. Till next time, take care.